their First Amendment right, though. They're still out there protesting. But you've got an amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much just made it clear there. Yeah, do they have First Amendment right? I don't know. That Constitution sure is getting trimmed down of late. You don't have your Second Amendment rights, according to Donald Trump. No guns, don't like them, take them away. Fourth Amendment's out, a bunch of the latter above 10, all the voting rights stuff. And now the First Amendment too. You may not have that right. Even if you're in like a protected class like the media, who generally has pretty wide latitude, you might find yourself getting hauled away for being an enemy of the state. And thus we turn to Don Lemon. Not only Don Lemon, but Don Lemon was arrested for covering a protest that happened in Minneapolis. Pam Bondi tweeted this: at my direction early this morning, federal agents arrested Don Lemon, Traherne Jean Cruz, Georgia Fort, and Jamail Liddell Lundy in connection with the coordinated attack on City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. More details soon. You know, I'm beginning to think they haven't learned their lesson about declaring things to be violent or terroristic when they're not. That was a protest, and the media covered it. It wasn't an attack. They didn't attack a goddamn church. That's not what happened, Pam Bondi, and she should know it. But like this is a line being crossed. This is the Rubicon being crossed or whatever. They're arresting a member of the media who Donald Trump doesn't like because they were at a protest. Now that said, at the very least, they're taking it seriously that they're doing this, as you'll see in this tweet from the White House that says, "When life gives you lemons, chains." They're going to chain up Don Lemon for involvement in the church riots, apparently. Oh, there were riots too. It was a protest at church. That's what it was. It was just a protest. There was no riots. It wasn't violent. It wasn't an attack. It wasn't any of those things. By the way, they were so desperate to get this done, and I have, I think, a very clear idea of why, that they've pushed forward in getting a grand jury to allow this, which is, again, very easy to do, because they failed in 2 previous attempts to get Lemon indicted by a federal court. A magistrate judge who reviewed the evidence last week approved charges against just 3 of the 8 who participated, rejecting the evidence against Mr. Lemon and the others as insufficient. The Justice Department then petitioned a federal appeals court to force the judge to issue the additional warrants, only to be denied. So when they couldn't get the judicial branch to play ball, they went with the grand jury instead. And now Lemon is scheduled to appear in federal court today. Maybe I'll end up being on that jury. In any event, a lawyer has put out a statement saying Don Lemon was taken into custody by federal agents last night in Los Angeles, where he was covering the Grammy Awards. He's been a journalist for 30 years, and his constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different from what he has always done. This unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing this administration will not stand. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court. And I feel like he's probably got a pretty strong defense being a member of the media. But Brett, for the right, this is convenient. This has not been a good week for them in terms of the narrative, in terms of the news cycle, because they're murdering American citizens. They look terrible. People are turning against ICE. Things are spinning out of control. But what if we shrink it down to just Don Lemon? You hate him, right? Trump got him for you. Don't be mad. Don't question the plan. We got that guy. We got the media who we hate. They're fake news, and he's a black journalist too, so it's even better. So I think that can probably placate some of them. But what do you think?
Yeah, so one thing that I don't think people, they kind of know happens, but they should take a moment and really think about is, in politics, you choose your enemies for a reason. You should anyways. Like, it is good for you. If there's 3 people you could go after in a scenario, you choose specifically the one that will make your life easier, and that it's easier for other people to rally around hating. And Don Lemon has that like CNN kind of annoying vibe to him, right? Or at least that's how they would, how they're gonna, they'll kind of peg him as. And all they go after Taylor Lorenz, and they go after Don Lemon, and they like to have these names that they can mention in the same way that they say the words like blue hair. And that's something that you can do in today's media environment. It used to be you needed to have a journalist with a camera on a stick and a camera person, and then they'd have to go out and interview people in the public. Now you just take a wide swath of people, it can be someone as small as somebody who is out there just tweeting by themselves and say that this person represents what's wrong with my enemy. Or you have these folks like Don Lemon who used to be at CNN and now are on their own. And you get to say like he's flailing out there for relevance. And you can tap into all the other times, like at a certain point, you've unmoored what Don Lemon does and says from just being able to say his name. Don Lemon. Like, why do they not like Don Lemon?
I don't.
You don't know, right?
I don't even know.
They just say he's terrible because of his vibe. At the beginning, he probably attacked Trump most effectively and most vocally in the early days. And there's people like Don Lemon and Mehdi Hasan who do that. But Don Lemon's not as good at it as Mehdi Hasan, so they're going to go after Don Lemon.
Yeah,
and
they'll get Mehdi.
So
they'll
that
get him
they
eventually.
can, but Mehdi's better, so it's going to be hard, and they know this. They know it's harder to get the people who are good at attacking them. Jon Stewart. They can't just say, "Oh, Jon Stewart," because the people are like, "I kind of like Jon Stewart. That was funny. You've spent billions of dollars slowly sous videing my brain to hate anybody you tell me to hate, but I still kind of like Jon Stewart." So there's that. And then there's the fact that like he's a journalist covering a protest.
Yeah.
And you can't say it's illegal to protest at a church because Jesus did it.
That's a good point. Anyway, yeah, no, you're totally right. By the way, people are reminding me that one of the things the right might have against him, I had forgotten that he's gay. But that's another thing that, for again, identity politics 24/7 from these people, they would hate that obviously, and it makes it so much more satisfying for them. In any event, I don't like. I vaguely remember a little bit of some of the interviews he did and stuff, and I do think there's some stuff that Trump would hate about him. But he's not a fire breather or whatever. I've only met him. He was super nice when I met him at the DNC. But yeah, like it's convenient. They got Hassan Piker a 7-day Twitch ban. I didn't know. That probably was not the Trump administration, but you never know these days.
If you enjoyed that, make sure that you never miss another video by subscribing. And if you want a little more, consider hitting the join button and becoming an actual member. But you're probably wondering, why the hell would I do that, John? First off, calm down. The stakes in this are very, very low. But also, when you click the join button and you become a member, you get access to bonus content that I make every week, and it's a ton of fun. You get access to tons of custom emojis and more besides that. By the way, if you join at tier 3, you even get access to a monthly member hangout with myself and other awesome people, and we always have a great time. By the way, you'll get all that going forward, but you also unlock years of the back catalog. That is literally 100 or more bonus clips, top 10 lists, debates, and more. What are you waiting for? Click the join button below. Your support powers our show, and we couldn't do it without you. Or at the very least, I wouldn't really want to try. Viewers like you keep me here. So thank you in advance for joining.